We have been studying Astavakra Gita. There are almost more than 20 Gita. Gita is a group of text. And one meaning of the Gita is poetry. So in a poetry format, these masters, whatever the knowledge was revealed, they put it down in a poetry form. So this is one of the greatest texts is known as the Astavakra Gita, where the meditation and mindfulness is understood. When you understand it, the knowledge is realized. But it happens to only who are highest level of a seekers. So those who are not the highest level of a seeker, then they have to undergo the different practices. So I'm combining to make us understand the third chapter. I'm combining two Gita. One is current Astavakra Gita, and the other is Bhagavad Gita, especially the 18th chapter, so that it makes you understand. So let us go to the first verse in the third chapter, and that may have a question in your mind also. Avinashinam atmanam ekam vijnaya tattvataha tava atmagyasya dhirasya kathamarjane rati. Simple translation. Master says, Master is now questioning. It is all about seeker and meditation. So he wants to check, the Master wants to check whether the knowledge is realized, is in reality it is realized or not. So what he is saying, you have realized the real self is all pervading, it is pure consciousness, you have understood, you are living into that state, you have already explained me. So then Master is asking why you desire wealth. That is a common question. Why you desire wealth? Why you live with your honey? Long list. So that is the question. So the beauty is that the Master is asking the question to the seeker who has reached to that state of self-realization, and he knows that this seeker is already into that state. That seeker was a king, and he was performing all the tasks, collecting all the tax. That King Janka, who was the seeker, he had also the IRS department. You are paying or not paying. So that needs to be understood. So once we understand that and what is lacking, so this Ashtavakra, the Master, explains that. I remember something, that a husband was dating another girl. And they were sitting in a restaurant, and the priest was also sitting there. So the husband hides himself from the girl. So later on, the girl asked, why you are hiding from the priest? You told me that you're not even afraid of the God. So the husband said, I'm not at all afraid of the God. God is indifferent. But if the priest saw me, he will immediately inform my wife. So you have to get rid of this priest. And who is that priest in our conversation? So let us first have a clear understanding. Three questions were asked: how the dispassion is attained. You have an ultimate dispassion. You realize the reality, the real self, and you gain the freedom. Preparatory step is dispassion. Dispassion comes by discernment. Discernment comes by thinking. Thinking what is real and what is unreal. What is real self? We have understood it. See, now I'm again, pay attention. We have understood the real self is pure consciousness that hides behind the body and the breath and the mind, and that is of the nature of happiness, love, wisdom. Welcome, welcome, Christina. So now question comes about knowledge, intellect, and fortitude. What the knowledge says, I have explained hundred of times that our real nature is all pervading. It is pure consciousness. It is of the nature of peace and happiness. Did you understand? Yes, I understand. But it remains in the seed form. Intellect means I have an ability to realize that knowledge. What the intellect does, intellect has an ability. What is the role of intellect? It lies inside the intellect ability to apply that knowledge. Ability demands action. And if the action is done from free from the ego and desiring fruits of an action, you can realize real self here and now just by making a statement. Are you getting it? Knowledge, understanding. When it is realized through the intellect. But if the intellect is pure, you can realize here and now. So, what is the problem with the intellect? One, and third point comes the fortitude. They both are inner abilities and qualities of an intellect. Fortitude, you are holding on your attention to the real self in the intellect during the practice of meditation, and you are there. I believe you all are getting it. We have been learning this for almost a year. What prevents the intellect not to have that ability to realize the real self? And that is the answer why you desire wealth. In the intellect, attachment and detachment are gone, completely gone. When there is no attachment, there is no detachment in the intellect. The intellect reaches to its highest ability. It holds on the attention to the real self, and you are already there. Then you will join the sessions just for the sake of joining, for the sake of settling, constantly understanding that you live into that state. Ability to realize the knowledge is intellect, and fortitude is ability to hold on to your experience. Where is your home? You have an experience. So there is a role of intellect and there is a role of fortitude. It is not that you went out of the house and you are returning, you'll end up into another house. That is what the master is saying and talking about it. So this master is saying, I can understand you have reached to that state of the real self. You are awakened to it. I am learning whatever the experiences you are telling me that I'm not the wave, it is the water. Huh? You see that? Lot of similes and the metaphors have been given. Take another example of Buddha and this seeker, who was also known as a great master, Janaka. Janaka was a great king. So the Buddha was a prince. You have to judge yourself. Both were great masters. Just for the sake of understanding, we are comparing it. Did Janaka the seeker leave his kingdom? No, he did not leave his kingdom. He was continuing the practices. He was also doing the job of a king. He did not leave the kingdom. Buddha left everything. Left his kingdom, he became a monk. Who is greater? Ask yourself. Greater in the beginning. In the later stage, they both are the same. Both are the same. Janaka did not leave anything outside, means his wealth, his kingdom. What he left is the attachment in the intellect. And Buddha started leaving something from outside. Compare it, I'm leaving you because I lived loveless life. Now, I'm not remembering again and again, but you see that. Understand that. So, unless that intellect is totally pure, clear, it has no attachment at all, continue doing it. Earn more money. More and more so that you can give me. See that, compare the two. Buddha left everything, outer possessions and the wealth. Janaka left that causes the problem inside, which is an attachment, which is a continuously identifying myself with the outer things, including the wealth and the home and etc., etc. That builds the ego. So that is why we say at this, when we say that you leave that ego, you leave the fruits of that action, and you are there. Then what happens? The intellect is pure, and now you bring the fortitude. What is that fortitude? You have understood that the real self is your nature. So hold your attention to the real self. Use the ability of the intellect to continue the practice. You will reach there. Not very difficult, but for the sake of understanding. So I'm using a combination of the teachings of Astavakra Gita and also the Bhagavad Gita, the last chapter. That is why the masters of the Eastern wisdom says follow the three-step process. Listen, learn, listen and learn. You have to listen it maybe 1,000 times until the intellect awakens to itself that here is an attachment and here is not an attachment. You realize it. The moment you realize that intellect has a tremendous inner resources of patience, of calmness, of restfulness, that translates the knowledge into experience with the help of a fortitude. So, the first step is always, I say in a very simple words, I do not know, let me know it. What I do not know? I have lot of pain. Where you have a pain? You have a pain in the body. Are you the body? No, I am not the body. To separate Allow the intellect to purify itself, that you have a pain in the body, but you do not have a pain. Your smartphone broke up, but you do not. Body, mind, intellect, they all are instruments of the real self. Have you understood? Yes, you have understood. And then a person who enters into your house you hate. So hate comes in the intellect. This is a decision. Can you get rid of it? So what we need to get rid of it, keep that intellect in the highest state of purity. So the moment you keep that state of purity, you are able to hold on to that knowledge of the real self by the fortitude, and you are there. That is why I think I started last week. Awareness, alertness, and attention. I talked about something, I don't know. I don't remember whether I talked on Monday and Thursday's session. Awareness, alertness, and attention. Take one example. Am I aware of you? Are you aware of me? Yes. You are listening to me, alertness. Who is holding on inside you continuously so that you are listening to me continuously? It is a fortitude, intellect. Attention, you are holding the attention of the mind on what you are listening here and now. You need not to do any practice. Alertness, awareness, attention. So the first is what we say, I do not know, let me know it again and again. When you are repeating it again and again, you sit down. Okay, let me see. This beer guy told me that I'm the real self, and real self is permanent peace and happiness. Okay. But my mind says that I have a lot of pain. I cannot meditate. So then comes the second step. I do not understand. Let me understand it. I do not understand. Let me understand. So first part is awareness, alertness. Now attention. Now comes the job of an intellect. I do not understand. Let me understand. Understanding, knowledge comes by contemplation and reflection. Contemplation gives you the clarity, and reflection removes the doubt. Attachment is there, ego is there, the doubt will remain. Attachment is not there. Oh, what will happen? Buddha might have thought that, what will happen. There is a film, I saw it, and there Buddha was shown that he is looking at his wife in the sun last time before he became a monk. So his mind might have thought that these two guys, when they wake up in the morning, again they put me into the attachment. And what this Janaka seeker thought, he removed the attachment in the intellect. He need not to leave that kingdom. He continued to live in the kingdom. Understanding. But this understanding is overpowered by the past impression. That is impurity. So I'm giving a break. So contemplation and reflection. And the third point is, so now I don't experience, I have a clarity. So allow the intellect to work on you again and again and again. So when you are doing the practice, you realize that state. So it becomes easy if I take a principle from another text and make you understand this principle. Repeating again, I know I am the real self. I don't experience it. What is the blockage? The blockage is the intellect. What the intellect does, it has an element of ego. Ego keeps likes and dislikes. It causes the attachment. So I need a fortitude, an ability, one wealth of the intellect to hold the mind, attention on the real self that we have understood. And then success is there. Success is there. That is why the master is asking the question, but he knows about the Janak. So in the second verse, he says a craving for the objects of the senses arise out of the illusion caused by the ignorance of the real nature. When I do not know the real nature, mind keeps jumping outside. Why it is jumping outside? It is seeking something outside. Why it is seeking something outside? Because it projects that a happiness outside in the object, in a person, in a honey, etc. So now you see that mind is craving, mind is running. That is why we have a wandering mind. So once I understand it, how I understand it, the intellect takes over. What the intellect takes over? Mind, where are you running? Why are you running? And intellect realizes it is because of the attachment. So Astavakra, the master, authenticates the experience of the seeker. I know you have left the attachment. Even when you are managing such a big kingdom. So manage everything outside, free from attachment. Because attachment causes the delusion. And delusion makes us forget our real nature. And the same, now go to the same delusion, the blueness of a sky. I will continue to see the blueness of a sky. But now intellect has a clarity that it is not blue. It is not blue. Understand that. I gave another example, red hot iron ball. The property of iron is neither red nor hot. It has borrowed the properties of a consciousness, this body which is talking. The lips are moving, the tongue is moving, and that's why mind is able to express these ideas in the thoughts. So the body, breath, mind, intellect, ego is nothing but the iron ball. It has borrowed the consciousness from the real self. So once we have that understanding, we are clear. So Master says, now I can authenticate your experience. You are there. I could see that. You are realized to that state of awakening. That is why we say we need not to leave anything of the world outside. But we have to check whether we are Janak or Buddha. We are. Based on that, based on the level of my seeking. Don't get excited, People talk to me, are you excited? I say, no, not at all. Why should I be excited? So don't leave anything out of excitement. It will frustrate you, your journey. 2 verses. Why you desire wealth, and the same master answers, I know, I can authenticate. You have left that attachment to the object, to the kingdom, to the world of objects, and still you are living with them. You're still living with them. That is the power of meditation, and that is the power of let us start our journey of meditation practice. Close your eyes.